Well, I'm a musician, and I play the piano, and I sing, and I paint, I write, and photography, a lot of different things. Different types of things. They'll defy humanity. They'll defy you, a smile or three, because I kept on choking. I was first interested in like music probably when I was in like grade 5, and I used to hear people playing the piano in the hall every once in a while, and so I just kind of started watching them and eventually just learned by ear and got better at it. Is that for you? That one's for you.
Thank you.
Is that good?
Thank you.
So my mom's sister had a guitar in my grandma's basement for years with the strings on it. If anyone knows anything about guitars, the tension on the strings over a long period of time can damage the bridge. Like it's impossible to retune it. Anyway, it had been there for like 30 years or something, like warped, and I decided to learn it, but didn't realize at the time that the sound had totally changed. So I was like learning how to play this guitar, and then I just said I can't learn the guitar. It's not gonna happen. A couple of years later, my friend had a guitar, or somewhere there was a guitar, and I played it, and I was like, oh my god, I can play the guitar. Because it was in tune. I'm ambassador of my heart's song, and I keep on playing all these silly notes wrong. And I said that's so funny because it's such a metaphor for our life. It's sometimes that like we're not in tune at the right time, you know. My dad was kind of, I don't know, he always felt like he was white on the inside and red on the outside. And he lived in the white community feeling judged for being like Aboriginal, and he felt he was judged in the Aboriginal community for being too white. So it was like, there was a lot of social setbacks. He had like a lot of problems with alcoholism with my grandparents. They were like very, very intense alcoholics. They would leave their kids and go to the bar and waste all their money, and my dad used to have to drive to pick his parents up when he was 7 years old. So there was a pattern, and it was just a lot of abusive cycle. It was an abusive cycle that he came from, and he created that in his life by fighting away from the things that he hated. It was always violence on him or from him. So he had a rough life. When you see someone you haven't seen for a long time, it's almost something like time just like hits you in the face. It's like, it's crazy. And I had that feeling again with him, that like the time was hitting me in the face. Same with like, it was like a scene where I was like 15, and then another scene I'm like 28, and then another scene. It's just like one of those weird moments, right? When I was kind of conscious of it when I was in it, and I just remember feeling like, I don't know, you don't miss what you've never had, but in some tokens, like, the idea still lingers for sure. I feel like I've been feeling like I want to write another letter too lately, so you go through these phases. And I guess it's a shame they pass by. My dad was the one that, it was really hard. It's always been a touchy subject with my dad because the music comes from my father, you know? And so I feel like all the time, whenever it's like dealing with the music, it's always bringing up that trigger, and that's something to really work through. And I think it's just identifying that more and more. It's just like, you have creative breakthroughs, and sometimes you have more awareness. My mom noticed like my doodles were like more creative as a kid. She's like, I think that's like a chicken or something. She has them in her like baby books. But so my mom always noticed, and she kind of pushed me to do it more. She would always like get in there with us and like come out, like we'd be playing at the parks, and like my mom would be like the youngest, hottest mom, like running around with her kids on the thing, while the other parents were like sitting there staring at their kids, like, you know, with their jeans up to like here, you know, like. I love my mom. I respect her a lot more after just visiting her. There's a lot of things that she just understands without me even having to explain it, or the way that, in the context of what it is, or the history behind it. Like, there's a lot more reference points with my mom, and I find, like, at this stage in my life, I need her in my life, like her voice. And time is a hurricane, and it's hungry for our ears. Fill these days by fear and pain. I think that it ties into like a certain element of counseling or something with music, and it's always going to be self-therapy for me. I'm finding that I was found. No. I like to be alone a lot more when I'm in a creative kind of patch. I like to be still and kind of like away. It's like a therapeutic thing more for me to be like away from the outside noise and away from other people and tuned into that creative pulse, I guess. More so. It'll always move like fluidly in my life, and I just hope that at some point it's more about the music and less about other things to do the music. Yeah. Or creative, or anything, like the art, not just the music, the art. I think that like making a connection is the most important thing. Wanting to make a connection with an audience, with people that are going through similar things, or people who aren't going through similar things but can relate, like creating relatability, creating a community, and I want to play music and tour, and like it's hard to see. I can't see it clearly, but I can feel it, and it's hard to explain. I think it all comes into one big thing. You have to be really like strong-willed and keep your focus on what's important, I guess. It's hungry for our ears, and we fuel these days by the fear and blame, beckoning our name. But I won't fall in mainstream water swept up in this. It's called Razzle Dazzle. So I left it the way it was. I just really like the color balance, the like green and the red. So